I'm speaking to Mr. AP Hota, the Managing Director and CEO of the National Payment Corporation of India, on the NPCI's amazing work being done in creating a program called Mobile Money 2.0, which is part of your financial inclusion program to put access to payments in the hands of the unbanked in India today. Give us a sense of the size and scope of Mobile Money 2.0.
In India, there are about 700 mobile customers, but number of bank account holders are 3.5, 350 million. We believe that the kind of efforts that the government and the central bank, that Reserve Bank of India have been taking during the last few years for financial inclusion to take place. In the days ahead, mobile money transfer system or the mobile as a channel can be used very effectively for bringing these people, unbanked population, into the banking fold. Money transfer is still a challenge in the country. In fact, it is easier for money to come from New York to a village in Andhra Pradesh than from money to go from Delhi to the same, from the country's capital to the same village. Western Union is being used for international money transfer and works perfectly. In 15 minutes time, a person can go to the post office and get the cash. But within the country, it's not possible. So, to start with, we want the mobile money services to be person-to-person money transfer. We have done a work whereby all the banks have come together, and it is possible to transfer money from one bank customer to another bank customer in another bank on a real-time basis, 24/7.
So
it has been demonstrated.
So the application itself was built by the
NPCI.
Yes.
This application has been built, the central infrastructure has been built by NPCI by working with banks, telcos, mobile payment solution providers, and what is very important, Mobile Payment Forum of India. In fact, it is this Mobile Payment Forum of India also which started the initial work. Even before NPCI came, MPFI had started the work. When NPCI came, it took over the work from MPFI. MPFI still exists, and MPFI develops the messaging standard. So, if payment information or money transfer information from one bank to the other bank and doing the clearing and settlement, that work is done by NPCI. Rest of the work is done by the individual banks.
Right. To what extent is the messaging standard ubiquitous from, for example, from international remittance into India to the banks and into to the bank-to-bank account? How ubiquitous?
We have not thought of international money transfer as yet.
Okay.
Because domestic money transfer itself is such a huge task. But with the kind of infrastructure that we have created now, interbank infrastructure, that can be leveraged in due course of time to pipe the international fund transfer also. Suppose the money has to come from a large number of workers in UAE. It can come through one of the banks, and from the bank system, it will come through NPCI, it will go to the beneficiaries in all other banks.
Right.
On a real-time basis. It is possible. So once the system that we have, the infrastructure, that central infrastructure that we have built is fully ready, now it is already operational.
Right.
But once more and more banks use it, and it is possible to do that as well. But there are certain other international money transfer issues are involved, which we will look into it and how it can be facilitated. We work with the regulator in this field.
Right. And describe to us your relationship with the telcos, because I think before the NPCI came into force and built this infrastructure, I'm sure that the telcos would have individually wanted to dominate this space. And how did your relationship with the telcos evolve?
No, we do not have any direct relationship with telcos, insofar as the business part is concerned, but we have relationship at the forum of MPFI for building the message standards.
Right.
Now, all telcos have realized, or they have appreciated the value of interoperable messaging standards. They are now agreeing. So that is where really we work with at the MPFI forum and the various meetings that we organize, we call telcos also, and we are converging on messaging standard. That is the one relationship we have. And second, we are working how USSD technology can be made use of, so that dependence on GSM based applications would be minimum, because USSD is very powerful tool.
Right.
And we are planning to work with all the telcos for how everybody can really provide the USSD services to all the banks through NPCI.
Right.
So NPCI can be the common gateway for different kind of USSD based messages.
So in terms of the workflow of the payment gateway, are there floats created at any point, or is it real time?
Yes, the entire the transactions that takes place on IMPS is real time. The average time taken for a payment is to be completed is 8 seconds. So it is, in fact, in today's conference, we gave a live demo
Right.
of money transfer
Right.
from one person to another person
What
to
is
different banks.
Given the fact that puts payment power in the hands of the consumer at the end and on the end of the transaction, is there a scope for NPCI to work with non-banks to provide this infrastructure, or is the mandate really very bank-centric?
Mandate is bank-centric, because we are supposed to create the central infrastructure for the banks, but the non-banks can come through one of the banks. You know, for the interbank mobile payment system also, some banks have indicated that such and such agency is our is service provider, and please connect to that service provider, and we have connected. So, but for all connectivity, for all the action taking place at the service provider level, it is the bank which is responsible. So we are a central infrastructure provider for the banks.
Right.
But if the banks say that the service location is located is that of the service provider, we don't mind really connecting to the service provider.
When you extrapolate what you can do with it, it shouldn't be device dependent. Today, consumers interact on the internet, on mobile device, and new devices coming on stream, and also on the chip card. So shouldn't you be broadening the scope of mobile payment to be not device dependent?
Central infrastructure is agnostic to devices, agnostic to telcos, agnostic to banks. But individual banks, when they develop the mobile application, they have really developed the application for on a variety of platforms. So the customers of a bank, some banks would like to download the application which can work on the smartphone. But many customers may not be having smartphones, so they have different types of applications that the customers can download, and there could be customers whose handsets can really can be used only for SMS. So SMS-based services also banks have been providing. So in the regulator is also quite appreciative of this fact, and they have given individual transaction limit for application-based mobile payment and SMS-based mobile payment. For application-based mobile payment, it is 50,000 per day. Right. A customer can send
50,000 rupees.
50,000 rupees, and for SMS-based, it is 5,000.
Yeah, this whole ability of the regulator to allow the per day transaction to be about 50,000 rupees, which is very high for.
Yes, very high. Yes.
For a lot of the day-to-day
transactions.
give us a sense of the thinking that went behind it, and what were the comfort levels that the regulator needed to have in place.
Regulator says that really this is a new service, a new channel of providing service delivery. So banks must have must put in place adequate security system in place. Two-factor authentication is something that banks must adhere to.
So you have two-factor authentication on the device.
Yes,
okay.
yes. You know, handset itself means the handset number itself is has been registered with the bank, and plus one MPIN. So these are the two devices they can do, and banks have really additional level. Means in the application-based packages, you will find there is one user ID, then the application, then while doing the financial transactions, another level authentication is there called MPIN, and they get validated not at the handset level but at the server level of the individual banks. So there is adequate security. I feel that it is as secure as internet payments.
Right, and the demand for raising the per day transaction to 50,000, that came from the customers, or was it something that the...
In fact, when the regulator started the service, it was 50,000 right from the beginning. For the SMS-based, it was 1,000, which was raised to 5,000. Because quite a few banks say that 1,000 is a limit, that is a very low amount. And through MPFI, a request was made to the regulator to raise it to 3,000, and regulator has raised it to 5,000.